going to run through a very quick demo of how to model a very simple network diagram within Jira / BigPicture. So this is very similar to what we did in class. I am going to pretty much ad hoc this demo, so I will apologize ahead of time if there are any pauses or other elements of the video that may not be professionally captured, so to speak. But this is intended to give you a little bit of an extra reference point besides the quick demo that we did in class that some of you may or may not have been able to follow along with and actually do some of the keystrokes. So I'm going to make a couple of assumptions here. One is most of you, if not all of you, have an account, Jira account, you've installed BigPicture, and you know how to create a very simple project within Jira. So let's go through the steps very quickly, and we're going to work on this network diagram as we did in class. Now I will make mention that this particular demo, because it is in Jira, we will not be able to implement all of the elements that we did in class via Microsoft Project. Jira / BigPicture does have its limitations. We'll be able to very quickly see the critical path and be able to format that, but we will not be able to see the free float or total float or free slack, total slack, as we are able to see in Microsoft Project. So if you're working on your assignment, just be aware that that is going to be a limitation. You can model it, do all of the work, you can do the scenario planning as I've outlined in the assignment. However, that is going to be one key piece that is missing. So if you have an access to Microsoft Project, I do suggest that you try it in both of the applications. So let's quickly go through this. We are going to create a project. Again, there's various templates that you can use. I suggest that we use the Scrum template. Let's give this project a name once we select the Team Managed Project template, and we're going to give it a very simple name. Okay, and as I mentioned in class, you can build your network, i.e. the activities, in the tool itself in terms of Jira proper, as I like to call it, in the board or in the backlog space, or you can simply go directly into BigPicture, which this is what I will do. And as I wait for it to come up, we'll choose, again, any one of these is going to be appropriate. It's not going to cause too many differences. There are some maybe different views across each, but feel free to experiment here. I'll just select Classic Project. Let me just make this a little bit bigger just in case. I'll collapse it back again. So we're going to create new. We're going to use Jira issues. I suggest that you change this to task, as this will represent the tasks of our network diagram below, from activity A all the way through activity K. So we're going to start with the first one. Do cap locks. I'm going to create that. And what you should do, and should be able to see, is the Gantt table on the left and the Gantt itself on the right. I'm just going to maximize the space here, and I'm going to start building the network diagram. And if you recall in class, the scheduling processes are identify the activities, which we're doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. We are going to then sequence those activities, or, and again, the order here is not essential. We can estimate the activity durations and then do the sequencing, but ultimately those are the elements that we need to consider to be able to model this network diagram below. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to identify those activities, and we're going to slowly build those out. This will be a bit tedious to do and to observe, but there's really no way around it until we get to those activities. Just going to again make this a little bit bigger. We're almost there. Let's do a quick sanity check. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Can't recall if that was quite the last activity. No, we have one last activity, and that's L. So let's do that right now. Okay, so we've got our activities identified, and there's a couple of ways we can start populating the durations in here one by one. Again, we can kind of look at this and put those activity durations in there. So that has a duration of 2 days. Now, maybe a little bit finicky in here. No. So let's put the activity in first, and then if we want to, we can expand on this here. A couple of different ways of doing this. So that's going to expand out to 2 days, or we can simply stretch out the activity. But we're going to have to put an activity in here. So let's do that on our Gantt chart for each activity. Okay, and again, we can simply align these if we want. So if we look at activity B, it's 3 days duration. So we can stretch it out to 3 days, and you'll see here it does update. Or we can go into the field itself, double click, and then we can adjust the durations here accordingly. So C is 3 days, so we can just enter 3 days for that. Activity D is 2 days. So either way is good. You can do activity E is also 2 days, right? Or you might find this a little bit easier. Activity F is 1 day, so we'll just leave that one as it is. G is 3 days, so we can extend this one out for 3 days. Just double check to make sure when you do extend it out that you extended it out the appropriate amount of days. If not, you can adjust again within the field itself with the activity. So let's look at H. Got 4 days for H. Look at activity I, 2 days. Activity J is 3 days. Where are we now? We're up to K. So K is 1 day. That's great. L is 2 days. So I'm going through this fairly quickly, and hopefully I haven't made any so let's just this back, so exactly like that. Hopefully I haven't made too many errors. We can just double check these, do a spot check. So A, C is 3, H is 4, kind of just double check in here. So let's just assume that all of this is entered in correctly. Now what we need to do is, again, take this network diagram, use the information in the PDM diagram itself, in terms of the relationships between the activities. So the way we would read this is B is dependent on A must finish before B can start. So on this side, we can simply start to connect our activities, and by default, this is a finish to start relationship, or as BigPicture, the way that it names it is end to start instead of finish to start, but it implies the same thing. So we can do that. So I'm going to cancel this, and let's build this out. So again, C is dependent. Well, C, there is no predecessor to C. Great. Now let's look at D. D's predecessor is B. So we're going to do that. E's predecessor is C. Okay, E predecessor is C. What we got here now? F's predecessor is B. We are up to G. G's predecessor is D. Okay. H predecessor is E. I's predecessor is E as well. Gotta be careful here. Things are sensitive. J's predecessor is F. Okay. K, its predecessor is G and H, so we'll have to do 2 here. So G and H. So let's do first G, and then we'll do H as well. Okay, and the last one is L, and L's predecessor is I. Now, hopefully I've done this correctly here. I'll get you to review this as well, and if I've made a quick or an error because I've done things fairly quickly, the intent here is to show you how to do the identification of the activities, the duration, and how to use the relationships. If by any chance there's a small error when you're going through the network diagram itself and you're practicing, adjust it accordingly. It might even be a good learning opportunity. And the last thing that we want to do here is we want to just be able to see the critical path. So what I'm going to do here is just highlight this, and I believe in class A, B, D, G, K was the critical path itself. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just put this over here. Okay, this is the parent activity, and all of this should roll up to this. Okay, so the only challenge here is that, and the reason why it may not be adjusting that is that actually is not taking it as a parent activity. So it doesn't automatically give you the date here, but ignore this for now, and we'll look at it as a separate exercise. But you should be able to look at the total duration of the activity and the activities underneath. Okay. Hopefully that allows you to quickly model a network diagram within the Jira / BigPicture add-on tool.